we go. We're live.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Changing Lanes video podcast, live video with me, Ryan, and Bobby C. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having me on as a co-host for this meeting today, which is changing lanes. Which is we're going to provide some alternative methods, some different mindset, and going actually behind recovery, the recovery industry. Uh, let's just say we're gonna do some things different, and some people aren't used to it, but we're
Mm.
gonna see how the audience likes it.
Bobby, if you just give me a quick minute, I want to. There's just there we go. I just want to quickly share the link so that if anybody wants to jump on, they can do so on the My Rehab Cafe. It doesn't look like it's broadcasting to the My Rehab Cafe group. Um, Sorry, man. Just if you could bear with me. Let me add that. Okay. There we go.
You want to add it over to Anonymous Addiction site, Anonymous Addiction private group?
Okay, yeah, let me share that quickly. Um,
Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be sharing this podcast to all our different platforms.
okay. There we go. We live on the Murray. Let me just post the link in the comments. Okay. And then I want to share it to your group, Bobby. Okay. Geez, I'm getting stuck here. Just trying to. Okay, go to the
Bear
page.
with us 1 minute.
Share to a group. Share to a group. Okay. So just give it permission on your end, Bobby. Should be with you in a second. Cool. Okay, so just quickly, if anybody wants to participate in the My Rehab Cafe private and unsearchable Facebook group, please send me a WhatsApp message. I'm going to put a banner up quickly. You can send a message on the number that's on the screen, 082-886-399. Ran out of digits there. Let me just fix that. Jeez, like, very unprepared. Sorry about that. 3996. Okay, cool. So you can send a WhatsApp message to me, and I'll take you through the process of joining the group. And yeah, so for the first look, I wasn't strict about this last week, Bobby, but or on Thursday, but we're gonna do 10 to 20 minutes on the public channels, and then we're gonna switch over strictly to the private and unsearchable Facebook group, the My Rehab Cafe. So if anybody on the My Rehab Cafe group wants to share anything anonymously, don't do so just yet. You can jump on once we've done the intermission and gone strictly over to the group. Hello there. Hi, D'Angelo. I want to bring you on in a couple of minutes. So, Bobby, are you there? You look like you're frozen.
Yeah, your mic's down a little bit. You want to you raise your mic up just a little bit.
Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. So, Bobby, what I wanted to discuss with you today, I've got a worksheet that I wanted to go through with you. I'm going to share the screen. This worksheet on. Okay. So so this is the follow up to the spirituality worksheet that we did last week, right? And so but first, before we jump into this, what I wanted to just say is, I think a lot of what you and I have been talking about, Bobby, is I've made a couple of notes here, so forgive me for reading, but a lot of what we discuss focuses on discounting 12-step ideology. Okay, so in a lot of ways, you could say it's like almost like an atheistic view of 12-step philosophy or 12-step ideology. What do you think about that? I mean, do you agree that that's what we've been focusing on mainly? Well,
No.
you don't
No,
agree.
I think last podcast I think we were just describing spirituality versus religion, and I mean, we're going to probably get into a little bit more about what spirituality means to you. But no,
Mm,
no,
mm.
I don't agree
Okay.
with that.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think yeah, it's important that we kind of let me just see what notes I've made here. Yeah, so I think we need to make more of a sort of put more of a focus on how a person can go through a process of self discovery in a way that might exclude 12-step like dogma, right? Um, so I want to do that, going through this sheet. But some of what I'm going to say is going to tie in with that. But I think let's start off with it. So just make sure my mouse pointer's on the right. Okay, so many of us haven't thought hard about what we really believe in for a long time, perhaps our whole adult lives, and yet we do all have beliefs and values, and if our actions don't fit with them, we feel uneasy. We may not know why. An important part of recovery is what people sometimes call being comfortable in our own skin. We can feel that way without the we can't feel that way without the self-respect that comes with being true to what we believe. This exercise will help you explore your own beliefs and values and plan ways to live that are true to them. Okay. So it asks us to look at this list of personal qualities. So notes that these are choices, qualities we can develop or learn rather than things we don't control. Check off the 6 that are most important to you in yourself and in other people in doing what's right. There's that word again.
Okay.
Any comments there, Bobby?
Well, like we could throw in values. What values? Values are important. What's important to us? A person, uh, standard principles of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. So let's talk about values too. What is valuable to us? Some may say, okay, a value to me is my family. Okay, my children are very valuable. My physical health is valuable. My financial well-being or my personal integrity. So let's get some comments from the viewers. What are some values that you attribute and aspire to in a hierarchy level? Like, what would be number one? What would be? I'll ask you, Ryan. What would be like number one value in your life?
Let me just click over there too. So, Bobby, I would say, I actually picked a couple. So, personally, I chose honesty, loyal, chose loyal, self-reliant. What else did I choose? Hardworking, I liked. Good partner. And good parent. So you mentioned a hierarchy of values, and I think that's an important point. So you know, I mean, it's obviously all subjective, right? Each person gets to choose what it is that they value the most.
Right.
And going back to the 12-step sort of thing, something that I wanted to talk about, right? So I think this is where the dogmatic sort of thing comes in that I want us to kind of steer away from. But if somebody, especially from an NA perspective, and I'm not talking just from an AA perspective, but from an NA perspective, an important value that sort of like the community holds, or that the program holds as primary, okay, is complete abstinence, okay. Would you agree with that comment?
Yes.
Okay, so complete. Now, the thing with values like this, okay, is that because they're subjective and because they're subject to the potential for like dogmatism and like extremist sort of views. If you think about how a lot of again, I've always talked about the anti-psychiatry sort of sect within the 12-step community, right? And that's sort of like taking, I think that lot sort of take the idea of complete abstinence to a level that is extremist, okay. So again, I mentioned last week that I think things sort of occur on a spectrum. How honest can I be? How loyal can I be? Does it, is it like an 8 out of 10? Is it a 10 out of 10? I don't see it being a 10 out of 10 because I think that's the ideal that we're aiming for. And it's always impossible to kind of like really attain that unless you like Buddha or Jesus, right? Any comments on that?
Well, the values that they are imposing upon us, and I say us, well, I don't do it, not no more, but impose upon people because I was in there for so many years, is their values. Okay, they are creating my identity and creating my values. So they're saying I must be a good AA servant. Okay, instead of me being a good parent or have a relationship with my wife, I have to be a good AA servant. They're saying be honest about my program. They're saying have a good partner with my sponsor. They're saying be hardworking by doing the 12 steps, the 12 traditions, and working the practices. They're saying be loyal to the 12-step dogma. NACA, MAAA, I don't care who it is. So the loyalty, it's going to them. It's going to like a corporation or an entity other than ourselves. And what we're talking about here is we're talking about values that we believe in, that we design, that we create, that we aspire to. Okay, when I talk about values. Okay, so we're talking the opposite. So everything that we talk about, we're just going to show you both sides of something that we have discovered, where I have discovered, and I think Ryan has too.
So let's see there. Looks like we got a comment. I just want to pop that on the screen. Okay. Yes, no mood or mind-altering substances. Where does mood stabilizers come in? Does this entail bipolar diagnosed people, which are real deal, as the NA elaborates on, not take meds? This is where I find difficulty with this statement. So I don't think NA as an organization says don't take meds. Or although they do sort of, obviously they've got this the ideal of complete abstinence at the core of the philosophy, right? But something interesting that I actually made a note of here. So the thing we need to be concerned about in regards to 12-step religion, and I'm putting the words religion in inverted commas. So the thing we need to be concerned about in regards to 12-step religion is the dogmatism and not so much the religious aspects themselves, right? So we need to be afraid of how the dogmatism is represented by the ideologues, not so much, and not be so much afraid of the actual religion itself. Okay, so I'm calling it a religion because I believe that it is in a lot of ways a religion. So, and it's just easier to reference it that way. But so so it's yeah. So again, 12-step philosophy doesn't specify staying away from mood stabilizers. And the organization themselves don't specify that, but there are the dogmatic sects within these organizations that take that ideal to an extreme that is unattainable for many, because many are on mood stabilizers or on psychiatric medication. So it makes that ideal unattainable for that sort of group of individuals, right? And I think that's by design. These fundamentalists and these ideologues do that by design. They do it to marginalize those individuals and sort of prop themselves up and their ideology up, right? So that's where I think ideals can become very dangerous. Ideals and values. I think we've got to be careful. I mean, Bobby, I don't want to sort of take up too much time talking here, but I mean, if you think about Nazis in Nazi Germany, I mean, what was at the core of their philosophy, or their stance? It was nationalism. Number one, it was like they had this idea about the Aryan race, and sort of they held these ideals and these values. They put them in such high esteem that it caused them to murder millions and millions of people, right? I'm not saying that that's going to happen with NA or AA or any 12-step, but it is dangerous when these guys sort of go, well, complete abstinence, that's a value that we apply and hold in high regard, and therefore, if you're on mood and mind altering psychiatric medication, and that makes you not worthy of claiming clean time. So I think that's where the danger comes in. Bobby, what do you reckon?
I look. I look at the structure, the hierarchy structure of it, and nowhere. I don't think it really says anywhere any of that. I think it's the individual. See, it's the collectivism. It's the individuals that make up the program. So you have a lot of individuals that think different. Okay, so they're making up their own thing. So you get a sponsor that doesn't believe in medication, and they think that's what they're going to project on you. That's the reality. But I think
What's the value that
they hold. So it's more so this is what I would say. Okay, look, we can't blame at this point. I'm not blaming anybody because I'm responsible today. So what I have to do is I have to look at, like, the word judgment or discernment. When in Alcoholics Anonymous they say let's not judge, they don't want us to judge Alcoholics Anonymous, because judging has to take place. We have to judge. We have to have discernment, because it's inherent ability to distinguish reality from illusion without our judgment and discernment. So they want us to not have an opinion, not to judge, don't have discernment. What is better? Telling people not to judge is like telling them to shut off their processor and virus protection software in their own home computer. I mean, judgment and discernment are what allows us to efficiently process information. Okay? So just that word judgment, do not judge others, it's almost like a religious thing. I have to judge.
Well, Bobby, on that note, I want to just put this up quickly. So I read this the other night. I did an AA meeting. I was chairing it, and when I read this part, I didn't feel good reading it. This part, yeah, they are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Okay.
So actually, wait. So actually, stop right there. So actually, they're saying if you have some mental disorders, you're above the average person. Actually, what they're saying, because say if I don't have any mental disorders, I'm incapable of being honest with myself. Okay, I break this down in my podcast, in my deprogramming podcast on Anonymous Addiction on YouTube. So they are such unfortunate. So they're saying I'm unfortunate because I can't give myself, my whole self, because they want to take myself, my will, my life, my care, my discernment, my judgment. They want to take it over. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Let's just see here. Now this part gets hectic, right? We deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Now this is where the dogmatism kind of like, this is where I get a bit concerned. Let me see if I can get that highlight. I don't think I can. There is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. What do they mean by God? Now that's an important question, and I looked up a couple of ideas for what God could mean. It can't. It doesn't. They say, yeah, cool. It can mean your doorknob. It can mean that's bullshit. It can't mean that.
It's a Christian God. They're talking about the Christian God of Oxford Group. They're talking about God in a Christian religious manner.
Okay, but so if they I know they 100% agree with you, right? Okay, so they're talking about the Christian God. That doesn't sit well with me. But so I looked up some definitions that would sit well with me, and one of the best that I came across was God is the highest value in the hierarchy of values. Okay, and that's still not. It's still not. It's still not good enough for me, because who gets to decide what the highest value is? If you're sitting in a group of where there's a bunch of fundamentalists, and again, I'm very much this anti-psychiatric thing fucking irritates me. So, but if you're sitting in a group with a bunch of people like that, and their highest value is complete abstinence, and they take that to the extreme, and they're like, well, you can't even have a Red Bull because that's using, or and if you're on psychiatric medication, that's bullshit. You it's not complete abstinence. You need to be completely abstinent. So that's the highest value that this group sort of like they don't impose it. It's not like they're forcing it onto me, right? But it's very difficult if you want to get well, and the threat of jails, institutions, and death, okay, is hanging over your head, and it's the people are telling you it's either complete abstinence from psychiatric meds too, or you're gonna end up dead and in jail, right? So it's similar to religion in the same way that they hang sort of the idea of hell and eternal damnation over your head, right? And look, in a lot of ways, yes, obviously, if you continue using drugs and alcohol and behaving in those ways that sort of defy healthy morality, if I could put it that way, yes, you're going to be in trouble a lot of the time, and you're going to get yourself into trouble, and it's going to be difficult. And that's one of the things I like about the 12 steps, though, Bobby, is that they do in a lot of ways embody values, a hierarchy of values that we can work towards. What do you think about that? Say, like they do embody healthy values.
No. No, I don't buy. I don't buy none of that, because I've been in it. I was in it for so many years. I don't buy any of it, because it's a subtle, subliminal, repetition, coercive persuasion throughout the whole program. Look, they don't get you the first day you come in. This is a gradual thing. They get you gradually. Okay, when the bottom line is, read A, B, and C and how it works at the end, and you'll see. Okay, and I'll tell you right at the end of how A, B, and C and how it works, and we'll get to that. But look, when somebody this podcast is about freedom. This podcast is about freedom of free will. Free will is so powerful; it's unbelievable. It's not about just us. I believe. Look, I believe I'm God. I believe Ryan's God. I believe we're all God. There's all God. You want to use the word God? I'll throw it around. We're all God. Trees are God. Universe is God. Everything is God. Okay, it's all God. But I am have to play my part in this role in the universe. Okay, so I have to self-discover. Self-knowledge is spiritual. Okay, for me, self-knowledge is spiritual. All right, for me, that's what I say. But I have to combine it with the natural universal laws too. There are laws that are truth. I mean, gravity is truth. I mean, you drop a something down, it's going to fall to the ground. That's truth. That's called natural law. It's the universal truth. And there are truths that are not singular or objective, subjective. They are objective. They are what it is. It is what it is. And there's some things that are like that. And if you don't believe that, then maybe quantum physics and a lot of scientific studies that about the moon and the sun and the earth and stuff. I don't know.
So I think again for me, the higher.
You just froze.
How does an antisocial person come into?
You're freezing, Ryan. I don't know whose connection just froze, but
Lost everyone for a second there. So we got some comments here, Bobby, that I just want to pop up quickly before we can move on there. So Sophia says, I'm getting more convinced that I really don't want to go to their meetings. I feel I don't need anything shoved down my throat. I just need to be able to speak to someone when I need to. More often than not, it feels like we receive the same message every week, and it's just a repeat of the previous one.
yeah.
You want to comment on that?
Now there's going to be more messages. The messages I just sent out has nothing to do with Alcoholics Anonymous. The messages of value. Okay, so you want to stick to that. When we go over to the private group, we'll get into something. We'll get into something that is new for us to think about, and we won't talk about the 12 steps. We won't talk about deprogramming. But right now, we're just letting people know that a lot of people that are going to be coming over to this changing lanes are interested in some new ways of thinking.
So, okay, cool. Thanks for that comment, Sophia. I think a lot. So somebody spoke about integrating your personal experience with the ideology that you've been taught. Okay. And I think a lot of people in sort of AA or NA meetings don't necessarily do that. I think they struggle with that. They sort of tend to regurgitate a lot of the stuff from the book and so on. And I think that makes it sound inauthentic. So I think that's my take on your comment there. You've got another comment by Yana. In the religious part, someone told me that Christians don't get depression or can't get addicted because if it happens, you don't have God in your heart. Yeah, that's dogma at its worst.
That's the catch. That's the trick. They can't go wrong. So there's an answer for everything because the answer is always God. And, if it happens, it was God's will. If it don't happen, it was God's will. God can't mess up. AA can't mess up. It's a perfect program. And 12 is a representation of perfection and religion.
So, okay, quickly, before we move on to the private group, just quickly, so this is a good question. Why are these values most important to you? How did you come to value them? And I think another question we could add there is sort of, how why are they higher up on the hierarchy of values than the rest of the values that are listed? I mean, there's obviously a lot of values there that are not listed that could be listed. But for me, yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
No, go ahead. You go. Finish. Go ahead.
For me, so honest. So I value honesty because I know what it means to be on the receiving end of dishonesty, and I don't like being betrayed. I think being betrayed sort of is something that is something that could really cause me to question my the way that I see the world. And yeah, so I mean that's why I value honesty as a from both angles, me being honest and other people being honest too. I think sometimes being brutally honest with people can be destructive, but most of the time being honest is it's the way to do things. Obviously, being a good parent, I want to be a good parent to my kids. I want to be a good partner to my wife. I want to be hardworking, and I think that ties in with being a good provider. Being self-reliant ties in with being a good provider, not having to necessarily depend on people. So yeah, those are some of the things that I value.
Okay, let me just jump in then. Okay, so everybody write on a piece of paper, get a piece of paper out and do this here. Check out the hierarchy of your values. Okay, put your values from 1 to 5. Put your values out there, right on a piece of paper after we hang up and after this podcast. And I'm going to ask the question. Here's the question I'm going to ask. Even though I should have asked it after the podcast. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask it after we do the podcast to the group. Okay, because this is the most important question, because values mean what is important to us, what is the most important things to us, principles and standards and behaviors. Okay, now after right before the podcast ends, I'm going to tell you why people don't put this one thing down.
Okay, cool. So if there's anybody on the public channel who wants to leave a comment or ask a question or jump on and say anything, now's the time. I think we'll give it another 5 minutes, and then we'll switch over. So yeah. So just again, from my perspective, I remember sitting in a meeting, and this guy. There were 4 of us in this meeting. I've shared this before. Oh, Bobby seems to have gone missing. I'm on my own here. Anyway, we were sitting in this meeting. There were 4 of us. This guy popped up. He said he wanted to share a poem that he'd written to his kids. And he read this poem out loud. And one of the guys who was, I call him 12 Steps Nazis. He's like an extremist NA type of, dude. And he popped up and he said, listen, disregard, everyone in the meeting can disregard what this guy just read. If it doesn't come from the book, it's invalid. You can disregard it. And I was like, it was a bit of a cringy kind of like moment, because it was a very Nazi thing to say. And I thought it was kind of like, shit, the guy was like really getting vulnerable by sharing that poem with everybody. But anyway, yeah, that's the kind of bullshit that I don't like, and the kind of stuff that we've got to watch out for in meetings, is where people sort of take things to extremes. And I think we need to call people that do that, I think we need to call them out, and call them out on their bullshit, and tell them to sort of take a hike when they say shit like that. Because Bobby, I mean, you've been in the AA for many years. Does it say somewhere in the literature that you can only refer to the literature when in a meeting? Is there anything like that?
It's all like that. It's all in the traditions. Our primary purpose is stay sober and help other alcoholics. That's all it's about. You'll get called out. Look, I tried to I went inside the meetings and I tried to change people constantly all the time. Not subtly though, very subtly. I wouldn't have stayed in that many years if I did it, angrily or whatever. But look, I found out that it's the way I'm doing it now, the way we're doing it now, we're getting one mind at a time. Okay, we're helping somebody that's in there to think, question, observe, and become aware. So we're doing something from the outside that I couldn't do from the inside. You have too many people against you doing it from the inside, okay? Because they control the whole agenda inside. There's no opinions on outside issues. They have no opinions on outside issues. The only opinion you can have is quoting the 12 steps, talking to your sponsor, recruiting others, and working the program.
So is that what it means, not having an opinion on outside issues? Does it mean you can't read a poem that you've written to your kids in a meeting?
Yeah, because some meetings may let them do that. Some meetings might let them do that, but but it depends on who's
So
running the
it
meeting.
depends
So
on who's
it's the
exactly. Yeah.
meeting.
So
And like I
that's
said, like I said before, it's the agenda. The 6, 7 people that are running the meeting, they're going to nod. The old timer's going to nod. The guy that controls the meeting, chairperson, they're going to do whatever they want to do. Hey, look, back in the olden days, listen to this. We had a gentleman called Bitchin' John that used to come into a meeting. He was blind and he had a cane. If you talked too long, or if you talked something about other than the big or the 12 steps, he would get his cane and he would tap it on the table. And that meant for you to shut up. Okay? And everybody knew it.
Jeez. Okay, cool. So we're gonna start sort of getting into answering these questions here. So I'm gonna switch over to the private group, and then we can sort of have a bit more detailed conversation about these values and why they're important. So thanks to everyone that's watched on the public channel. Again, if you guys wanna check it out, check out the Facebook group. Send me a WhatsApp message. My details are all over the place. They will be on any of the profiles that you're watching on. Thanks, guys. Cool.